Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Kaleem Joy, licensed midwife, certified pediatric massage therapist, and certified professional midwife. I just want to welcome everybody tonight. This is a wonderful topic to learn about because we talk so much about pregnancy, birth, and etc., which I'm going to take that as a starting point, and we're going to expand from there because sometimes the role of being a parent in life, there are other things that go along with being a parent. We have this wonderful, grandiose feeling and idea when we get pregnant. It's like, wow, you're going to have a baby, and you're so excited, and you settle into that sort of mindset, and then you start thinking about all the things in life, and you get super excited with a first baby. But sometimes that excitement after the baby's born turns into excitement and reality, right? So we're going to talk about some of those things. And I just want to thank all of you for joining me and for being here tonight, and really just taking all of this conversation and integrating it into what your family needs and where you are in your family time, and also taking it to your mother's groups and your parenting classes and your family and friends and etc. Oh, you're so wonderful, Danielle. Aren't you sweet? Happy vacationing. So I want to start with, as I said, we come through that pregnancy time and everything's exciting, everything's new, especially with a first baby. Sometimes subsequent babies, we're excited about the next one. We're contemplating how is birth going to go and how are we going to integrate the new person into our family and etc. And so, when we talk about the word overwhelm, let's understand that when birth occurs and the baby's first born, there's an overwhelmingness of joy, of excitement, of relief, and everything that goes on in integrating that. And that is for both the parents and for the baby and for, maybe extended family that happens to be there or friends. Everybody, and we've talked about this pause or the reset time. So that pause has to take time for everybody to integrate. But there's also a reset period that goes on, because that can be very overwhelming. And especially if there's a lot of people coming into the space, wanting to get into the nursing space, wanting to hold the baby right away, wanting to tell them how excited they are, and they want all their social media to know about the grandchild or the niece or the nephew. And this can, again, become something that can be overwhelming, especially if this is a first baby, for sure, where we have a brand new mother and birth giver who is now learning how to breastfeed, and a brand new baby who says, I'm primed, I know I want to do this, but we've never done this before. And so there has to be that reset time. And what we find is newborns stay awake for a couple of hours, and their job is to go and be able to nurse and to be able to integrate life, and then they go to sleep, and they go to sleep to reset what needs to be done. Well, you as adults need your reset time after birth as well. So then let's continue through that first week. And every single day there are new things that are being asked of you to integrate, new things for the baby, from all the things we've talked about of digestion and breathing and temperature and food, and how do I ask for food, how do I tell them not need food, how do I poop, and pee, and then I have to burp, and all these things that the baby is integrating. And that can become very overwhelming too. For some babies, those sensations are exaggerated. Then other babies can be very tolerant of those. But we also have parents, and some parents have a little more concern or anxiety going on, where others, are very la la la. And so there has to be those times. So we have to communicate to the extended family, the extended friends, the importance of having quiet time in that first week, time to just be able to figure nursing out, let the baby integrate, because the baby's been in a beautiful womb home and now the baby's out, and the baby can get very overwhelmed by having a lot of visitors, as can the birth giver. That birth giver can become very overwhelmed by having a lot of visitors who stay, who want to talk, who want to visit. And that first week really has to be that lying in period where really there's people there to do laundry, help take care of other children, do meals, go shopping, and just let you and the parents and the baby really have that time together. Now, talking about the siblings during that first week, they too have the same thing. Something has completely changed in their life, and that can be for them an overwhelming feeling that, you know, there's a new person here, and my birth giver is now having to rest and is now nursing the baby, and I have another parent who's eager to be with me, but also after a couple of days is getting very tired because they're trying to help during the night and help with diaper changes and burping and bathing and then integrating with the other children, and they're not used to being that parent that is the primary care parent, and they've got work ahead of them. So all of a sudden there's a lot of overwhelm going on in that first week, and really what is needed is people need to come and help with meals, laundry, childcare, and shopping, and really give you that space to be fed, nurtured, and just really quiet that environment down. And I think it's important to express that to family and friends and say, I'm so excited to have you meet this baby and to spend some time with us. I need this first week or two to really get us settled in so that we can really be able to visit. Because as any of you who have had children already, you know very firsthand at how tired you can be in that first week, right? Because nothing is consistent yet. And naps are like their weight in gold. An hour nap, a 2-hour nap in a 24-hour period, little bits of things, is really what's needed. And so if people are always there, taking up your mental and emotional energy, that becomes more overwhelming. And guess what? The baby is the barometer, and the baby gets overwhelmed too, because the baby says, look, I've never dealt with this outside world, and I need a lot of quiet and peace and working just as a family. And even if you have 6 other kids, that's something that the family needs to just tone it down and not have a lot of visitors. So let's go past the first week and let's talk about what happens there. So you get past the first week into the second week, things are starting to have some semblance of, all right, I think I have milk, the baby's starting to cue me, I'm sort of figuring that out a little bit, but it takes a whole nother week to begin settling, and it takes a full 6 weeks to really let a baby start to settle into a family and a family settle into having the baby. And then it takes another 6 weeks till that first trimester is over. And we spoke about that first trimester before, about the importance of babies being in the pouch. They don't care about the world. Well, let's talk about the overwhelm. Because when a birth giver, when parents are expected to jump back into the driver's seat, literally, to start driving people around or going to the grocery store by even day 4, I mean, that's just like blows my mind. But in the second week, going into the third week, when we're like, okay, come on, get back into it. And sometimes our partners can feel like, well, all right, I need you to get back to work. I need you to get back to doing what you do around here. And everybody is feeling a little spread, a little thinner, and having to expand a little more. And what I want to encourage you as those who might give birth again, or that are in your postpartum time, or that are watching this, and that might be your story soon, or that maybe you've had that in the past, or you have friends that are getting ready to, help them to really understand the importance of taking the reset time. Because from the birth, the end of the pregnancy, it really takes time to let life reset into something new and normal. On a more moment-to-moment reset, what it takes is babies, if they become overwhelmed by their environment, people, and what's going on, even if it's just the birth giver who wants to nurse the baby, but there's all these other things going on around her, what will happen is the baby will fuss, want to be picked up, want to cry, want to be irritable, may not be able to nurse, and they're totally out of sync. And what it takes is going, you know what? This is too much for a baby who's 3-4 weeks old. Sometimes it's too much for a baby that's 10 weeks old. We get them up to about 3 months or so, and the baby starts to settle in finally. And they can usually do a lot more that's going on. But how do your babies tell you that they're overwhelmed with their environment? A newer baby, a newer newborn, will just go to sleep. They will cry and cry and cry, and then their reset is to go to sleep. When they go to sleep, their neurosystem shuts down and it says, all right, let's reset and let's try this again when we wake up to see if we can now have a more grounded feeling to us, and now we can work at nursing again, or whatever that may be. So our children are our barometers, and when they're out of sync, many times that's us that are out of sync and we're feeling too overwhelmed. So let's go past in through that up to that 3rd month, and let's talk about the baby as we go from that 4th trimester on up through their 1st year. And these little babies, their reset is if they are feeling overwhelmed, if they're feeling overwhelmed, they want to get clingy. They want you to hold them all the time. They don't want to be put down. They don't want to go down for a nap. They want to nurse all the time. And you realize that when a nursing baby wants to nurse a lot, yes, of course, it can be food and growth spurts and all that kind of stuff. But it's also a way that a baby says to a mother, you need to slow down, you need to sit down, and I'm going to help calm you down because you're trying to do too much. And so what does the baby do? The baby wants to nurse and nurse and nurse and nurse and nurse. And their other way is to take their naps. But if a baby's feeling overwhelmed, that's one of the key things they'll do to reset. That's why as a newborn goes to breast because, yes, it's instinctual. They know they're safe, they're warm. That's how they neurologically organize when they're milking the breast. It also helps their cranial bones realign. So there's a lot of that going on. But a baby, when things are going on around them, they will go to breast to reset, to settle down, not only for them, but for you. So the other part is the other parent, the other partner, the parent also has a reset time because sometimes they can feel overwhelmed because their partner, who's the birth giver, the woman, is so busy with a newborn and maybe other children that now their time is being compromised. And so sometimes I say the best thing that you can do if you have children that are being out of sorts, whether that's a newborn or a baby, or whether they're a year old or 2 years old or even older, especially in those toddler years, if things aren't going well and they got up on the wrong side of the bed, the best thing that you can do is pull them in, give them some love, sit down with a book and think to yourself, I don't know what today's going to be like, right? Isn't that true? You don't know what today's going to be like because today may not be a day that they're going to be willing to do the 10 things that are on your to-do list today. And what I find is sometimes if I'm going and these little ones are coming and going with us everywhere, which is great, they adapt, but sometimes we have toddlers that just say, time out. I need to be down playing, doing the work that I'm supposed to do and not running from place to place to place to place to place. So what do? They cry, they fuss, they throw a fit, and what they're really saying to you is, I need a reset. I need a reset time. And so I know one of the things that worked the best for me, and I want you to think about what has worked the best for you when you feel like your children need a reset time or you need a reset time, and start thinking about what you're going to type in so that we can share it with everybody. My best thing that I found as a parent was to say, okay, today I have to sit down on the floor and I just have to be with my kids. And I have to realize that I've been expecting them to live an adult life and go, 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 go. And what they're telling me is we need a time to reset before we can do this again. And it feels sometimes like, but I've got to get these things done. And yet what you find is you become frustrated, overwhelmed, cranky, irritable. Your baby's doing this, you're mirroring each other. You go to the grocery store and you see the usual thing, which is mom's frustrated, the kids are throwing a fit, and everybody's looking at them saying that my child would never do that, right? And, oh, I don't understand why she's being so upset with them. Well, it's really that we needed to sit down on the floor. We needed to just be present, be with our children, let them play around us, know that we're there and that we're not being so busy. Those of you who have had me as a midwife, you know my motto that says, if everybody is fed and safe, you have had a good day. In the beginning, this is really true. And as life grows, we know that life has to incorporate all of the daily chores and the weekly things and the other things that we do. Which also brings me to the fact of how important it is that sometimes we have to be able to say no, right? Sometimes we can get, and I'm really good at burning as many candles as I can, and it's taken me years to begin to recognize how to keep those candles in balance. And frankly, I'm still figuring that out because there's so many things I want to do or need to do. And I do not have children to care for at home anymore. So it's one of those things that overwhelm is a symptom of things being too much in the home, either that there is too much that's being expected in a day, or the other thing can be that there needs to be better scheduling. Now, it's not necessarily scheduling of children, but it's scheduling of things that you can do, that you have a realistic expectation of to-do lists when you have children at certain ages, or children that are higher needs, right? Okay, let's see what Morgan said. I decided to bring my glasses. Everybody says when I do this, it's funny looking. My reception is cutting in. Oh, good. Okay, nice, Morgan. Thank you. So in understanding this reset, it's also understanding what do we do for a reset. And that's where I say sometimes you have to sit down, just be with your kids and say, at least for the morning, maybe not the entire day, I'm going to lay down here, which doesn't hurt you to lay down on the floor and watch your children play. Let them hand you things and really interact with them for a change, because sometimes we forget how enjoyable that can be to interact with them. I had someone say to me when my son was young, because I said, I need to go pick him up and we're going to go down to the river today. And it was like, you're going to take him to the river today? You have time to do that? Well, that day, yes, to take him for a walk. And I used to take him, down to the beach, because the beach was a place that there were no no's, if you will. And with my son, sometimes we needed to have a no day, which meant there wasn't the word no. Everything was yes. Because we can get into that pattern that there is so many no's, right? Of things. And even if we don't use the word no, it's some of our children, and mine was a high needs child, gets into a lot, and you're trying to figure that out and occupy their mental brain that wants to learn so much and so fast that sometimes that can become overwhelming. So start thinking about some of the things. Oh, thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. So when we think about as parents, we also have to think about what I call filling the well. And whether you're a biblical person or an eclectic person, doesn't really matter. Everybody kind of knows the story of the women who went to the well in the biblical time, right? Well, I believe that women go to the well, if you will, in our modern day, not just for water, although it's good to nourish ourselves. Women go to the well in order to be fed and to take a reset time, in order to take and reintegrate themselves, because being a parent is very demanding, and it is something. The more children we have, the more we multitask and the more we spread and the more that we do. And we love our children and we are amazing teachers, and our children benefit every day by all the things that we do. But I want to remind you that children also benefit by just being present with them from time to time. Because when we're just there to let them come to us, tell us a story, even if they don't have articulation with words yet, but they babble really good and they show you something, all they're asking is just for us to be present. And if we get too busy, that becomes difficult. So how do we reset? So babies will reset by needing to breastfeed or a pacifier or going to sleep. They will reset sometimes by sucking a thumb, if that's their thing, and they will go inside to have to reset. And sometimes they need to go to another environment and just tone down. Sometimes singing a song with them can be a reset. You know, the wheels on the bus or Incy Wincy Spider. There's a reset time for them. So we can use music as a reset for our children. And being able, what does that do? It stops us. It says we're here. We're going to have a little time. And then the other thing that I want to remind all parents, and I say this to parents from the time their babies are born, tell them what's coming. Because when they understand the rhythm of the day, and you say, today we're going to be going to the grocery store, and that's where we find the bananas and the broccoli or whatever it is that you're buying. They go through, oh, this is what our day is going to be like, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to come home, have nap time, and then we'll see what the afternoon holds. And then you can go through it again. Children thrive on understanding what's coming up and what to expect. Doesn't mean there aren't variabilities to it, because there can be. But they thrive on understanding what's coming. And this is from a baby on up. We think they don't understand. But babies are even more vulnerable in some respects because we put them in car seats, we cart them off, or we pick them up from playing. And these are babies before we say to them, all right, it's time to clean up. We're ready to get into the car. We're going to go to the grocery store. We're going to go to the park, and we're going to play, and we're going to do these things. It just is common caring courtesy from the time they're newborn. Let's go change your diaper. You think that a 2-day-old baby doesn't understand this. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but they understand that something's coming. It's why we sometimes say, wave bye-bye, right? They're like, oh, I think bye-bye means we're going to go into the car or we're going to leave. So we start this early, and this helps children to be able to go with the flow of those things when they understand better what's coming. So that's one thing I've encouraged parents to do from the time their babies are very little. And I have seen children that do much better if we give them that. Now, some of you may have children that you know need time to get ready for transition. And some of these children who really need that transition time, we have to give it to them. Otherwise, they become stressed and they need a reset in order to handle that, right? All right, I've got a little comment. Let's see what this says. My mom did that with me, and I found that my oldest really is more tempered. When I go over our day, it definitely decreases anxiety. Yeah, we don't think about these kids, these young babies and toddlers and preschoolers, that they have anything going on inside them. And guess what? They do. And every child's different. Whether you have 2, 10, it doesn't matter. They all have their different temperaments. So Danielle, absolutely. And being able to tell your children those things really helps decrease their unknownness of what's coming next, because you may have the whole schedule in your head, but the child doesn't. And so giving them that helps them to deal with what's coming up in their day. And when it comes to children that are slightly older, as they get into maybe preschool and getting up into grade school time, We as parents have new dynamics that we're working with, new dynamics of how to work with children who are now able to verbalize, make their needs known. They're able to follow directions with things now, and yet they also have their own mindset of things that they want to do. And sometimes we can get in conflict with that. So again, I think it's helpful to let them know the day, help them know where we're going, give them their direction, their boundaries, and when you see a child who needs a reset, find whatever reset works for them. What I encourage all of you to learn how to do is something that you learned how to do the day you were born, and that is to breathe. We forget how to breathe. We breathe every day because our body has to stay alive. That's easy. But having conscious breath, where we take a moment to close our eyes or not, and literally focus on doing nothing but taking air into our bodies and mentally saying, I'm going to let air out of my body. Now, I want you just for a moment to do that with me. Whatever's going on around you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if all your kids are swimming around you. It doesn't matter, okay? I want you to sit for a minute, and I want you to take a nice big deep breath in, as deep as you can do it. Ready? And now let it out. Do it again. One more time. Now, what happened was your entire nervous system calmed down because of this. So if we can help teach our children from the time they're very little how to just breathe, they will have a tool to help them when things become overwhelming, maybe at school, maybe when they're playing with somebody, to learn if they take a couple of nice deep breaths and reset, they can deal with whatever that stressor is that's coming up in their life, right? Let's see. Yes, breathe. I always need this reminder. We all do, Jennifer. This is a great reminder and a great thing to do. Thank you. We get so busy with our life, and people who learn to meditate, this is what they learn to do. And I read an article in Life magazine, which was about a year and a half ago. They put out, and they're putting out a mindful segment on it frequently now. And I just read through that entire segment. And that alone, for labor, for birth, for pregnancy, for when your baby is a newborn and you're really tired, and when your kids are getting irritable and upset with each other and it's the dinner hour and everybody needs a reset at dinner time, right? The kids go all over the place because they're tired, they're hungry, they've had a busy day, and they need to quiet down and reset. The other part is how children go into the day by telling them of things and how they come out of their day. Because remember, we talked about this reticular activation system and how that also goes on in our dream and our sleep time. So when we get ready to put our children to sleep, sometimes it can be a battle. How do I get this child to actually go to sleep? And it's taking us an hour and a half of, crying, getting up, picking up, doing the drinks, walking to the bathroom. Now they're hungry. What is it? Why is it that they're struggling with going into sleep? Well, it's a transition, and not every child makes an easy transition into sleep. And I think that when we can make that transition time something that they expect, and it's like, okay, whether it's the bath and the diapers and the jammies, but I think when we add to it something like, let's just breathe together. Now, maybe your child's too young, so you hold them, and what do? You take nice big deep breaths in and nice big deep breaths out. Why? Because that calms your nervous system down. The child's nervous system calms down. Maybe you have a song that you sing before you go to bed. One of the sweetest things that I saw was a family that was expecting twins, and they had 2 other children, and while she was in labor, I want you to know, okay, they held hands and they had a song that their family had made up. It's very short, but it set the tone that their family was together and that they were setting a tone, and the words that were for the song were something like, I am good, I'm amazing, I am considerate, I am kind. And they sang this beautiful little song, and then they walked their children into bed, gave them their hugs and their kisses. Now I think sometimes if you give them a foot massage or a back massage, or you light a candle and the candle goes down and then they fall asleep, sometimes you blow it out, sometimes it goes down. But they need anchors in their day. And when they have a good anchor to go to bed on, they reset from that day. I also was one that I would recount the day. Well, we went to the store today, and who did we see? Oh, we saw blah, blah, blah. And we said hello. And then we came home and we made dinner, and we had a lovely dinner with whatever we were having. And now we've had our bath and our song, and we're getting ready to have sweet dreams. And tomorrow will be a new day. And I can't wait to see you in the morning, where I get to love you and hug you, and we get a whole new day to do things. Now, that sounds very idealistic. Some children respond to this. Others are very challenging to get to bed, and I know that there are some that just don't want to give it up, right? And with those, we just have to love them and work with them a little bit. And remember, it won't stay like that. But you need a reset time too, and that reset time for you is sometimes needing to have time to go to the well. All right, Expectful is a fantastic guided meditation app for all stages of life. Trying to conceive, pregnancy, and postpartum, highly recommend it. Okay, I'm going to say that again. This is an app that one of our moms is recommending. It's called Expectful, Expectful, and it's guided meditation for all walks of life. And she's found it very helpful in that. So thank you, Danielle, for sharing that with us. So what are some of the ways that you have found that have helped you to be able to reset when the day just feels overwhelming? So start feeding me off some responses. What do you do when you need to reset? I know for me, breathing has become my friend. My adrenals like to go off all over the place. So I sit and I breathe. And the other thing that I do is I say to myself, I need to decide how much energy I want to give to what's making me upset or irritated. Is it worth expending my energy on it, right? But how do you reset? And then second to that is, how do you help your children to reset when they get out of control? Yeah, sometimes it's the timeout corner, the timeout chair. Some parents use that. It's really a reset time, you know. And sometimes maybe there's a place that says, I need you to sit and let's look at a book for a while and let's get you reset, especially in the evening. Man, that's a hard time. Marlene jokes about how to help children not want to come and sit on your lap at night, and all you have to have is their jammies and their diaper, and they'll run the other direction, right? She had 8 kiddos. A hot bubble bath. That is definitely on my list, Danielle. I am a bath person. I love getting into a nice hot bath. You know, part of what that does is your nervous system, when you get into warm water, it actually calms your nervous system down, and it actually brings your blood pressure down. There was a saying, and I won't get it quite right, but you never know how strong a woman is until you put her in hot water or something like that. Anyway, yes, a hot bubble bath. I don't care, bubbles or not, the hot water is my deal too. That's where I go to reset. So many of us do. What others? Some of you that are on the Instagram, let's hear from you. I know I can see some of your identities. Some of you I don't know by your names, just because I don't know your code names. You have code names. But how do you reset? And how do you help your children to reset when they're out of control? Now, Marlene has some grandchildren, and when they were younger, there were some of them that were, they were children that, oh, how do I describe it? They were incredibly bright and on track, and they needed things to be pretty consistent with things. And what we would find is when they became overwhelmed and they were crying or whatever, in fact mine did this to some extent too, is that they would put themselves off in another area of the house or the room, and even though they'd be upset and they'd be crying, they would basically say, leave me alone, because I need you to leave me alone. And our goal, you know, we as adults go, oh, I'm so sorry, what's going on? Did you hurt yourself, or did that person hurt you, or whatever? And they're like, you need to leave me alone. And that was their way of saying, I need to handle myself, get myself under control again, do my reset so that I can feel like I'm okay. And some children are like that. They don't want all the coddling, if you will. And then some children need a whole lot of loving and that cuddles, you know, to really reset. And it's just differences between kids. Okay, let's see what else. Marlene's on here. The faster I knit, the better I feel. Okay, another reset. Knitting. Knitting is a repetitive action can do that. Even exercise can, right? Let's see. Like a tea bag. Yeah, okay. It's different for each of my kids. 3-year-old, we do breaths or suggest reading in his room. A 2-year-old, usually we hold him tight and he calms. And my youngest, 3 months, I found nursing him skin to skin in a lavender bath works like a charm. Yeah, right on. There are some kids that you just kind of have to, and Marlene used to talk about her 7th child. He just wouldn't calm down, and she just hold him for a minute, and he'd finally just give up. And that was his thing. He needed that real loving, tactile, hold me tight thing in order to feel like he could reset and let go finally. I love the skin to skin. I'm telling you, these little babies, this skin to skin, just nursing, being really present and calm. That water has magic. Not for everyone, not for every baby, but water can have a lot of magic, if you will, in helping to shift and reset and rebalance children and us as adults as well. All right. Hey, Sasha, I see you on here. What do you do to reset, and what do you do with your children when they need to sort of reset, when they just get, you know, everything's just too big and too much for them? Kristen, what do you do with your baby to reset your baby, or you, if your baby just feels like it's had too big of a day? And let's see, whoever. Jennifer, you're on here. What else? All right, I'm waiting for you. Otherwise, I got to keep yapping at you. You know that, don't you? So, what I find is from labor on up, well, pregnancy on up, life on up, right? Your breath, hot water, sometimes a cup of tea, as Mar said, a nice tea bag. Sometimes a walk. You go out, you have to break away from what you're doing. Sometimes that's what helps with the kids. You pack them in the stroller, you put them in a front pack, and you go out for a walk. I know that many times I get called where there's an infant, maybe they're under 6 weeks, maybe they're between that 6 and 12 week time period, and a parent will call and they'll say they're crying, I just can't get them to stop crying. And I say, okay, go through the basics. If they won't nurse and their diapers are clean and you've checked everything out, that they don't have a hair around a toe or something like that, I usually will say to them, take them out for a walk or go in the shower. And it usually always will solve it. Because somewhere it settles their nervous system down, because we can get wound up with them trying to settle them, and they feed off of that, so we have to take a break as well. So make sure as parents that you do plan some time to go to the well and refuel yourselves, because parenting is a big job. Thank you for all those good little blurbs coming up, because parenting is a big job and you need that reset time for you. Sometimes you can't go away to do that during the day because your children are there. Sometimes, I know, just going into the bathroom and going to the bathroom can be a reset time, right? But I think you have to be able to talk to your partners, and sometimes, you need that 15 or 30 minutes after they come home. Give them their reset time from work, and then you have a reset time also, which is their time to be able to spend one-on-one with the kids, or 1-on-10, however many you have, and give you those minutes to say, I have no responsibilities right now. I can breathe, I can read a book, I can go take a bath, and I can be ready to help with the bedtime routines and dinner, and then be able to go to bed myself. Now, I want to talk about the school-age child, and that's actually from preschool on up, but it gets more and more when they get into school. And that is, you will find that children who go to school, whether that's public school or whether they go to a charter school, children during the school time, they are being on their best behavior, and they're dealing with other children and making sure that they follow what's being asked of them and doing the work and their head game. And it's a lot on these children. And so sometimes when we pick them up, our first question, for those of you who have children that are old enough that may have gone to school, our first question is, how'd school go today? And usually they say, it was okay, or it was fine, or we had fun. And you're like, tell me about your day. And the child is like, I don't even know how to go into that right now. And so we have to understand that it was a lot for them. And so often children need a reset time when they come home. Some children have a meltdown. And what we've found, Marlene's found, I've found, what we've found is, one, meet them with, I'm so glad to see you. I hope you had a good day today. If you'd like to tell me about any of it, I'd love to hear. But meet them with food. Take a snack, whether that's grapes or an apple or juice or something like that, because often that's one thing. They're hungry by that time of the day. And the other thing is, when they come home, if you can just take a few minutes to just sit with them and see what they need to do. They may need quiet time on their own, but it's not uncommon for children to kind of melt down. They have a crying spurt and they're upset about something. And it may not even be something that you thought, why are they upset about this? It's because they've been holding this, I'm being a good girl, a good boy, a good kid today, the whole time I've been gone. And some of these children are gone for 6 hours at a time. And I need to let go. And my let go is, I need to have a meltdown. And once the meltdown's over, they do okay. But we find if you give them some food and you just meet them where they're at with that, it may be that the meltdown may be, wow, that was a big day today. It sounds like you did a lot today, and I know you had a big day. Do you want to sit and color? Would you like to just sit and let me read to you? Or would you just like to sit on my lap? Or let's sit up at the bar. The older they get, the more they have to tell you about it. And then, of course, there's homework. And don't get me started on homework. I have a whole thing about that. So understand that your children do have those types of things, and that it's not abnormal, but those are some of the reset things. Maybe you say to them, all right, before we even get out of the car, let's do some deep breathing. And if you start it from the beginning when they're in school, or when they go to preschool or anything like that, that this is how they're going to wind down, maybe that will help not have some of the meltdowns that happen with some of these kids. Food and breathing and some juice, and just saying to them, hi, I acknowledge you, you're home, and I don't expect anything from you for the next little while. It helps a lot. All right, any other comments from anybody that you want to make? I've kind of completed my thought process tonight. I want to thank those of you who made some comments and you participated in the dialogue. It helps a lot. I feel like I'm reaching out there, and it's really kind of fun. I know for me, I sometimes don't know what I want to put out there, but I'm thinking about things, and so I know you've had a lot of thought process while we've been going through it. So remember to share these. The one on the Instagram only stays 24 hours. The one on the Facebook will stay. Share them with others. Have people go and watch. Encourage as many people to get on my Instagram and my Facebook page so that they get notified about these things and can join me and join all of you in this amazing community that you all are. And I appreciate all of you for being who you are and being great parents, because parenting is a big teaching opportunity, and it does take a lot from us. And there's a lot that gets given to us too, right? All right, so remember, go in, hug those beautiful children that you have, tell them that you love them, and really make sure that they hear that, because one day they're going to say, I love you too. And man, it just melts your heart, doesn't it? Tell them you love them. Tell them they're amazing and that they can do anything they set their mind to. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.